Nero, the emperor whose name became a symbol of madness, a ruler who turned Rome into his personal playground, and his victims into entertainment. For 14 years, he sat on the most powerful throne in the world, but his legacy isn't one of conquest or law, but of fire, blood, and a terrifying descent into tyranny. Was he born a monster, or was he a product of the very power that corrupted him? Absolutely. This is the story of Rome's most dangerous ruler. Nero became emperor at just 16 years old, a boy thrust into a world of immense power and deadly intrigue. But behind the young, seemingly innocent ruler stood the real power. His mother, Agrippina, the younger. She was ambitious, ruthless, and brilliant. She had schemed, married, and murdered her way to the top, eliminating anyone who stood between her son and the throne. In those early years, she was the shadow behind every decision, guiding Nero's hand, believing she could control Rome through him forever. The first 5 years of his reign were even considered a golden age, guided by his wise advisors, Seneca and Burrus. But the puppet was growing tired of his strings. Agrippina's suffocating influence began to feel like a cage, and Nero was desperate to break free. As Nero grew older, the mask of innocence fell away, revealing a man consumed by vanity and ego. He craved the applause of the crowd more than the respect of the Senate. He saw himself not as a statesman, but as a supreme artist, a singer, a poet, a chariot racer. He forced Rome's elite, the senators and aristocrats, to sit for hours through his terrible musical performances, clapping on cue, terrified of what would happen if their applause wasn't enthusiastic enough. Those who dared to criticize him or even look bored were exiled or worse. The responsibilities of the empire became a nuisance, an interruption to his artistic pursuits. Rome was no longer a republic or an empire. It was his personal stage, and all its citizens were merely his audience. When his mother Agrippina tried to reassert her control and remind him who put him on the throne, Nero decided to cut the strings permanently. But killing the most powerful woman in Rome, his own mother, was no simple task. His first attempt was darkly theatrical. He designed a special collapsible boat, planning to have her drown in a tragic accident while she sailed across the Bay of Naples. Miraculously, she survived the sinking boat and swam to shore. Realizing subtlety had failed, Nero abandoned all pretense. He sent assassins to her villa. They cornered her, and as they raised their swords, she reportedly pointed to her womb and cried, "Strike here," a final bitter acknowledgement of the monster she had unleashed upon the world. Nero had killed the very woman who gave him life and the throne. Then, in the year 64 AD, came the night Rome burned. For 6 days and 7 nights, a colossal fire raged through the heart of the city, devouring everything in its path. 10 of Rome's 14 districts were destroyed or damaged. Panic and chaos gripped the populace. Rumors swirled like smoke. Some claimed Nero fiddled while Rome burned, a symbol of his chilling indifference. Others whispered, a more sinister tale, that the emperor himself had started the fire. A monstrous act of arson to clear land for his extravagant new palace, the Domus Aurea, or Golden House. To deflect the growing outrage, Nero needed a scapegoat. He found one in a small, misunderstood religious sect, the Christians. He accused them of starting the fire and unleashed one of history's most cruel and sadistic persecutions. He had them torn apart by dogs, crucified, and even covered in tar, and set ablaze to serve as human torches to light his garden parties. The empire could only tolerate so much. Nero's tyranny, his neglect of the state, and his extravagant spending had pushed Rome to its breaking point. Rebellion finally erupted. In the provinces, the legions turned against him, and the Senate, finally finding its courage, declared Nero a public enemy, sentencing him to death by flogging. The artist emperor, who had lived for the crowd's adoration, was now a hunted fugitive. He panicked, fleeing the city in a clumsy disguise. He hid in a villa outside Rome, paralyzed by fear and indecision as he heard the thunder of horsemen approaching. As the soldiers closed in, his nerve finally broke. With the help of his loyal freedmen, he turned a dagger on himself. His final famous words echoed his lifelong obsession, "Qualis artifex perio." What an artist dies in me. Nero ruled for just under 14 years, but the scars he left on Rome lasted for centuries. He was a paradox, a boy emperor who started with promise, a tyrant who murdered his own mother, and an egomaniac who believed himself to be a divine artist. Was he a mad king, driven insane by absolute power, or a misunderstood artist, born into the wrong role at the wrong time? Perhaps, in the end, he was both. And it was that terrifying combination that made him one of history's most unforgettable monsters. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the dark side of history.